Hey, I'm Lucas. You both know me. I'm one of the co-founders here at Optiversal. We help brands win in AI search by automating content workflows for them that bridge the gap between how consumers search for products and how retailers talk about products. And I have the tremendous pleasure here today to have two of our clients with us today. And I will butcher introducing them, so they are going to introduce themselves. Noella.
Hi, Lucas.
Hey, Noella.
Pleased to see you again.
Good to see
I'm
you.
Noella Zwickerhill from Mattress Firm. I've been with Mattress Firm for just 4 years now. I've been in Austin about 10 years, worked with brands like Yeti Coolers, Under Armour, MyFitnessPal previously, but happy to be at Mattress Firm now, working with Optiversal.
I'm Brad Power. I'm at Kendra Scott. I've been there about 4 years, where I'm on the digital team, and we've been a client partner of Optiversal for several years now, and we're really happy and excited to share some stories today.
Awesome. And both of you have awesome last names. So with that, let's just dive into it. The first thing we want to kind of talk about is like how the search experience is evolving, right? So I think we've sort of come out of the total chaos of like, how do we rank in ChatGPT? Are we ranking in ChatGPT, right? The executives yelling at you. But there has been like a lot of shifts over the past, year or so. So I wanted to kind of start off and asking you, like, how do you feel like shopping is changing and consumer behaving is changing with like new AI search tools? And how do you think about that in your respective companies?
Sure, I'll go first. I should have led with the fact that I'm an SEO purist. I've been doing SEO for about 15 years now. So this is pretty well-worn territory for me as far as like search pulling the rug out from under my plans and schemes. So I've been thinking about the shift for, I think, a lot longer than other digital members. As soon as the Google AIO beta launched, I was in there testing it and having these conversations. So the rest of the organization is finally well aware and waking up to the shifts. But what we've seen and what I know in my heart to be true is people are treating AI like a trusted consultant, right? It's very personal. It's in the weeds. AI knows everything about you, your aches and pains, how old your kids are, and exactly what you need. And that's what people are beginning to expect from the answers. Really personalized, maybe TMI answers, right?
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
I agree with everything that's been mentioned. I think that I'm not sure we're completely there as a leadership team in terms of fully understanding how a brand needs to operate differently in this world. I think we're starting to see signals when we do test and we do experiments that, to the earlier points, customers are asking longer, more rich, more detailed questions than what they've done in the past. And so it's, in our vernacular, it's really shifting away from collections or product lines or seasons and really starting to talk about the details of the product and why a customer would care about that, what's going on in their life, what's relevant right now, this time of the year. And that requires us to produce different kinds of content. And so I think like that's been the biggest change that we've seen in terms of how we show up and what our customers expect to get from us as a brand.
Yeah. Then maybe sort of like in addition to that, like how do you feel like other teams are now more involved in search and have more interest in search all of a sudden? And like how do you kind of manage that or like
Yeah, that's been a fun one.
Yeah, it has been a little challenging because there's a level of education that needs to occur just about what's already been done and the fundamentals of what we're dealing with in the search landscape. But now we have these AI visibility meetings that are 30 people rich with merchandising, PR, the digital product team, site ops. Everybody's in on it now, and everybody's contributing meaningfully, I think. So it's nice to have help.
Yeah.
I agree with everything. Again, I think that internally SEO is kind of still viewed by some people, and there still is an education process underway, that it's back to taxonomy and metadata on a website. And that gets you so far, but also what we're talking about now is, to the exact points that were just mentioned, it's the merchandising team, when they're thinking about the product, they need to help us better understand who are the customers this product is being built for, and what are the problems you're trying to solve with this product, and what are the actual materials that are going to go into this product, because those are the kinds of customer questions. And so we've tried to work upstream with the merchandising and then the marketing teams as they write the brief to start to give them questions that they need to be answering as they go through the process. And I don't know how you feel, but the good thing is that most people understand that, because that is how they are searching also. And so when you start to bring it to them, it's not like it's a completely foreign project. You see a light switch kind of go off of, oh yeah, that's how I ask questions, and so I need to produce that content for our customers. But it's process change and it's habit change and it's changing your measurements so that you're measuring the right things now and you're thinking about things differently.
All right, awesome. With that, like for you, what was kind of the, maybe aha moment, or, did you see something more outside of the business or inside of the business, and how do you reconcile those two things? So like, there's obviously the, aha moment of like, okay, this thing is happening and I'm using ChatGPT or I'm using AI overviews. But like, are you starting to see that change now also in terms of how like traffic is coming in? Like obviously there's lots of organizational awareness, but like what is the data kind of telling you in how you think about that?
I think to your earlier point, there was a lot of noise for a long time. So if there was an aha moment in there, I missed it. So the aha moment to me was when Google published a month or two back of just get back to SEO basics. That's what we're talking about here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to continue to perform well if you go back to doing the basics. Now, you might need to provide a little bit more detail around it, but it's not trying to influence things. It's not, it's getting back to, and so I think that made the message internally simpler, because we were going back and going, okay, we're getting back to the same thing that we've always done before. You might need a few more fields in terms of product attributes, but the way you're going about it, the process should be very similar. And I think aha moment or reality check, whichever way, because it felt like for a year that we got caught up in all different sorts of things that were taking us further away from what is actually going to solve the problem.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think our aha moment as an organization was about 6 months ago when this AI Tiger team was formed cross-functionally. And so it was painful for me because I felt like I was already doing good work against our AI visibility, watching citations go up, producing all of this great Optiversal content, working on blog content, etc. But I think it was sparked by an outside agency actually telling our leadership, we can't see you in ChatGPT. We searched and it's Sleep Foundation instead. And at that point, it became code red, right? And so it was all hands on deck at that point. And it was a good thing eventually. Like we've found our footing for sure and are working much more cooperatively now. But for a bit there, it was kind of like, well, what should we do? And I'm like, well, we're doing it. We are doing foundational SEO always, and producing content, etc. So definitely some growing pains, but the last 6 months have been fruitful and productive, I think.
Cool. Both of you sell a category of product that is like very different from each other, although both could argue that they're very essential. But so I want to kind of ask like in mattress buying, right? It's a very research heavy category.
Mm-hmm.
I've never woken up and said, okay, today I'm going to buy a new mattress. This is like, or like bought it at the end of the grocery store. Like, okay, let me add some gum and a mattress, right? That's not
basket bomb of a mattress.
Not even at Costco.
Not even at Costco. Although they probably tried and tested that. Anyway, so like, how do you think about that? How is that behavior changing, right, for the consumer? And like, how do you think about that? How do you gather those insights, and how do you build content around, that?
Yeah. So again, I'll reiterate, like people want personalized results. Like I think of it as a super powered, like featured snippet where Google used to like provide a comparative, like apples to apples features and specs for two products, right? People aren't starting there. They are starting with, hey, Google, my head hurts. I wake up with neck pain. Like, I have a toddler who sleeps in my bed with me, et cetera. You know, the full life story, or rather chat usually in this case. But they walk into a store having done hours of research with their best friend, ChatGPT, and they think they know exactly what they want. And what we need to bring it back to is speak with a sleep expert in a store, right? Like, you need to lay on these beds at the end of the day before you make a multi-$1,000 purchase that's going to last you 10 years. But the expectation, I think, is a lot higher for us to be definitive about the superlatives of a mattress. Like, this is best for, period. Like, compared with these other ones that are not as good at for knee pain, whatever your sleep disruptor is. So that's where we've been focused, like really categorically trying to be more assertive about product features, product specs. And I'd actually love to touch on Optiversal on this point, because another thing that really helps our content is the user-generated review content that people are talking about these products actively when they leave a review. And that is what ChatGPT really wants, and what these LLMs want to hear. They want that aggregated, like, user experience, opposed to like some brand marketing copy, right? Okay. So when the customers are talking about specs and features and superlatives, that carries a lot more weight in the LLMs. And that's where our Optiversal pages are so strong in citations, which they are.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. And obviously, I know that. But would you say, like, it's a lot about adding like more curation to the web experience? So like, Mattress Firm having a stronger point of view on what is good for certain things, and like really showing themselves as the expert.
Yes. And again, that's where Optiversal is so strong, because at scale we can segment out these sleep disruptors and mattress types forever, right? There's so many combinations of side sleeper, firm, hybrid mattress, inner spring, queen, king, right? Yeah. Just endless possibilities. So being able to curate a segment and subcategory, speak to it, have users' experiences elevated within that page is doing the trick. It's 100% working for visibility and conversion at the end of the day, which does still matter, contrary to some popular belief that, like, citation share is all that we should be thinking about. But we have to sell mattresses at the end of the day. Yeah,
I particularly love the Mattress Firm pages that focus on husbands that snore. That's a very popular one, and it's like one of my favorite pages. Like, a good mattress or a good pillow for a husband that snores.
Let's get you an adjustable base.
Yeah. I Google that myself all the time. But no, it's really that one's really awesome. All right, and for Brad, like, you obviously sell no sleep products,
right?
In fact, you should take your jewelry off when you go to bed.
That's right.
So like, it's a different kind of buy, but like more emotional. Other factors come into play. Like, Kendra Scott, like, how do you kind of think about, like, maybe guiding the shopper in a more
right? Yeah, I mean, at a macro level, it's similar, right? We're brands that have multiple product lines or multiple product categories, and we're trying to guide our customers through what they should select based upon whatever it is that they're trying to do. Is it a fast fashion type of thing that you're after because you need something for a girls' night out this week, or is it you're looking for more something that's an heirloom product that you can hand down multiple generations? And so at a macro level, we're doing something similar. We're trying to describe those different product lines and categories in more detailed ways. As was mentioned earlier, right? Like, as you search, it has a whole lot of history about everything and it's bringing that into the search. And so it knows your birthday, most likely, right? It knows things. And so that we need to match that, because that's the search that it's going to bring. That's what it's going to want to help the person find, so that it can assist them. And so, yes, we are breaking down our products. We are thinking about ways that we are solving and meeting customers where they are in their life. What is this life event that you're buying for? And so that's caused us to think differently again about the content that we need to produce, because it's not just good enough to say this is the summer season. It is this beach ready wear that you can wear all day, sleep in, sweat in, run around in, or is this something more again that you might want to only wear on a night out, but make sure you take off before you go to bed, or you shower, or you swim, or you work out. And so I think we're trying to solve similar problems, which is guiding customers through their purchase journey. But now it's just not gold hoop earring. It's gold hoop earring that's going to look great with my blue dress at a beach wedding and is also sweat proof that I can dance in all night, right? And something I try to talk to a lot of the teams about when they're trying to get their head around this is just think about your own search pattern. Probably 3 years ago, you were searching with just 2 or 3 words. And now your average search is probably 3 to 5 sentences, right? And so you're just giving a lot more context then to show up in a search like that. We have to match that with content that helps the LLM pick us over another brand.
Yeah. There's this awesome stat that searches went from like 4 words average in 2024, and now we're at 24 words. So it's a 6x, and like that probably will expand quite a bit. How do you, like, both of you, like, how do you kind of think about like the theme is like, hey, we gotta like meet the customer where they are, like talk more in a human way, so to speak, right? How do you maybe work internally or think about like, doing that, but doing it at scale and doing it in a structured way? These are things that are like traditionally, have been sort of in conflict. Like, hey, we need to talk more human, but we need to talk it to everyone,
Right?
Right? And so, like, there's technology to do it now, but people also are like, well, AI is just like averaging out the average,
Right,
So like,
yeah,
how do
yeah.
you kind of think about that?
I think what we're trying to think about is what are the moments we want to differentiate as a brand on, right? And those might be moments of the year, or they might be moments in someone's life. And so we're trying to make sure we have the right content for where we want to differentiate relative to our competitors. Then I think there's kind of a second wave now that we've understood that and are starting to generate that content with the Optiversal tooling. It is what is the additional evergreen content that we need that we may not want to differentiate ourselves on Valentine's Day, but we want to be there when customers are searching around Valentine's Day. And so I think there's kind of a multifold approach of like, what are we trying to go after? First, we have to have the content that describes our categories to our customers. Next, where do we want to show up in somebody's life, and are we addressing that with the right content? And then I think there's maybe a third wave that we're yet to fully realize, which would be more what I would call traditional evergreen content that just you may not be going after it, but you'll take those customers if they happen to find you on that on that moment, right? But and so that's how we've been thinking about it. But I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, I love my approach because we have this sleep expert persona, right? Like,
Yep.
and you walk into a Mattress Firm store and you speak with a sleep expert, and they are experts. They have hundreds of hours of training to choose the right mattress for you, help you. And so in our legacy blog library, we have hundreds of articles that are written from that point of view. And they are not as specific and detailed as they need to be in this new day and age, but they've always been our bread and butter as far as ranking and being that research component for customers. So where Optiversal is that scalability, and it's super in the weeds with all of the different variants and subcategories. Speaking to those, we look for the opportunities to refresh our legacy content and bolster it up with FAQs. We mark it up. We segment it out more thoughtfully for AEO purposes. Add comparison tables, bulleted lists, the TLDR summary at the top that we know is going to be snackable and citable. But we use that like longevity of authority in the sleep and mattress channel to
That's awesome. We've gotten this far.
Yeah, right.
First one, good.
Yeah. So we identify these opportunities where there is like that striking distance, really high search volume, probably lower competition, longer tail, these topics that we can build out and really optimize for AEO, but built off of that authoritative, long-standing URL that's been on our blog for sometimes 8 years. We've just seen excellent results in citation volume, ranking, click-through when we go that route. So that's sort of like the slower slog behind the scenes where we're always looking for those opportunities. It's much more manual. It is like, humans, hands on keyboards, refreshing this content. But and you spoke of the third phase, right? Which is that like really high level evergreen like brand sentiment piece, right? And so we also are working on that now in a larger sleep expert, sleep authority, mattress authority way, and that's to compete with these other aggregators that are like beating us out when people ask comparative questions versus questions, best for questions. A lot of brands, smaller brands, are able to assign superlatives really easily to a smaller owned catalog. We offer many brands, and we have 50 mattresses that are great for side sleepers, right? Mm-hmm. So we're being really thoughtful about building out like much higher level, sometimes medically reviewed, sleep expert reviewed, like literally going to these salespeople and being like, what are you telling people when they ask you this question? Like much more thoughtful, high level, evergreen content that is even slower moving, but I think is going to serve us on that brand sentiment and like authority side, which is so important now. And a bit easier for smaller brands to achieve.
Yeah, smaller than ever to be an authority in a niche.
Yeah.
Or easier than ever, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about like scaling content for conversational discovery. Right. So let's talk about scaling content for. There we go. Let's talk about scaling content for conversational discovery. So, one of the biggest sort of challenges in the new search paradigm is like, how do you, there's so many questions out there. How do you scale that? And obviously, both of you do this with some help from us, right? So can you talk a little bit about, the strategy behind your Optiversal program and, how we've scaled that? And,
I think it's a little bit about understanding the brand and the creative team, and they need to be a part of this process, right? And so you want them to feel confident that if multiple pages are being generated from their voice, that we capture that voice directly, right? And so I think that's early on, it was building that confidence with them so that if they gave us a brand guide or a style guide or whatever, we could show how the pages were authentically recreating that voice, and we could show how customers were engaging with it. And then you get to a different point where they trust that part of the process. Mm-hmm. We even have those teams using the Optiversal tool now, mm-hmm. because they can generate on the fly, and it's made their life easier. And so I think underneath it is the AI going to take my job, right? And so you have to show them, no, you're going to continue to be the brand authority. And as we have new lines or new categories come out, we're still going to come back to you and trust you to give us what are the differentiators and how do we want to talk about it. But then we can go from you personally creating 10 pages a week to a partner helping us create tens of thousands of pages a week if that's our desire. And so I think like that was the biggest thing for us, is to make sure we tackle that human element, make sure that the voice stays on brand, but then also let technology do some of the heavy lifting that we need to be able, to your point, Lucas, answer 100 different questions 100 different ways, where manually that would take us years probably to produce that same scale content.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Noella? Like, you have kind of like a different, like on Brad's side, I know we like focus a lot on like occasions and like how to use the product, etc. And or where to wear it or who to buy it for. And gifting is huge for you. I don't think anybody gifts a mattress, honestly. Although I might one time.
I'd love to receive a mattress as a gift.
I think people would love it as a gift, but it's not a popular one. It's not a popular one.
What are you saying? You bought me the snoring version of the mattress?
Exactly.
Happy anniversary.
But but I do think it's like one of the cool things we see in both of your programs actually is like scaling around things you're already doing well. So like there's certain things that Kendra Scott's really good at in the gifting side, but now you used to be limited sort of to your point to like 10 or 15 pages, and now we have a couple of hundred that go really into the niches. So like how does that work for
Yeah,
Rich?
it's so a little differently because again, it's back to sleep disruptors, the mattress types, and specific needs that are much less glamorous than gifting occasions and birthdays. But I think it does come back to tying in the customer reviews, right? Because people are going to leave a review conversationally.
Yep.
And that's what gives a page the weight and the authenticity and the authority behind creating that niche.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have full confidence from a brand standpoint. We went through the same process, right? Super detailed onboarding to make sure it is right on target. But from there, it really is led by what customers are talking about. And if we have the products to populate that subcategory or niche. But I would say on the newer side, like that's such a like well-oiled machine for us right now. And those pages just, they rank, they're cited, they convert. But what's new is the product enrichment on our existing PDP side, like actual product pages, being more conversational and changing the way we speak about the specs and the, again, superlatives, the FAQs on those pages has already made such an enormous difference. And that program is fledgling for us. We only have a handful of pages where the enhancements are implemented, but we saw a colossal lift for those pages. So you hear it already in both citations and just actual clicks to the site. So that's new, and just bringing again in a whole other cross-functional team, the site ops, the merchandisers, the product team, thinking about how we can better optimize our page template for PDPs. Where can we fit in even more content? But most importantly, how we're speaking about it in that conversational way, which is driven by the same product catalog, like that feed that just has the nuts and bolts,
Mm-hmm.
specs and everything, but how people are speaking about it. So if 90% of reviews are saying, I'm a side sleeper and this is the best ever, like we can really have confidence in labeling it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like very cool actually on both of your programs. One of the my favorite things about it is like you using those same type of data points in like multiple ways, right? So we build a page for a certain occasion or user type, and then we enrich your merchandising feed with questions and answers that speak to that, and then we enrich your PDP with questions and answers that speak to that, and highlight the bullets on the page. It's like really awesome to see, sort of that playing out at scale, and also getting traffic.
Yeah, it really works.
Maybe most important.
Yeah.
So maybe before you used Optiversal, like how would you go about like the process of like figuring out like what to create content for? And I know we don't cover everything, right? And so maybe like what are other ways that you like discover real new opportunity, or like how do you figure out those moments, or how do you figure out what the topics are you want to be authoritative on?
Yeah, super manual, so in the weeds. I have agency help at Mattress Firm, but I am a one-person SEO team, AEO team there. So I do everything from hands on the keyboard in the weeds, like deploying and strategizing, reporting, presenting to the C-suite, et cetera, the full gamut. So I love to get my hands dirty, and let me tell you, finding those content opportunities, like the long tail blog refreshes, that has been like my main strategy before Optiversal, because I have the most control over it, and I can go as fast as I want on that front once I get publishing access, right? So that's something I don't need development support for. And yeah, it's just like, it's so manual. You're digging around in Google Search Console, looking for those striking distance like topics and pages where you're lagging, maybe you lost traffic, or maybe you've been rising in the rankings, but you need that extra push. So like that's what we would refresh at as much scale as we could, handle before. But it really left the product piece out.
Yep.
And I kind of just turned a blind eye because I had less control. A lot of the page template restrictions prevented me from adding FAQs, for instance. I didn't know the answers to FAQs because these are products that have specifications that come from a product catalog. So before, I was much less involved with the product feed and the product details. I would go through and optimize titles and meta, maybe tweak some copy to speak to the product a little more directly or in a better search way. But yeah, it was harder back then. We love Optiversal.
Yeah, agreed. I think when you were asking the question, I was thinking a little bit about how I feel like the marketplace has changed. I feel like that to me, the change used to be brands told customers what they wanted customers to hear. But part of this AEO, GEO evolution is that now we have a lot more tooling that tells us what customers actually want answered.
Yep.
And so it's not a harder problem to solve. It's just a different problem, right? Of again, I go back to like we used to talk a lot about collections because that's how we think about products and how we want to sell them. And now we have customers telling us, well, how does this collection solve my problems, right? Like, how does this help me get to what I'm trying to do this moment in my life? And so I think that was a major shift in, to Noella's points, it was also a lot of challenges for us in terms of, okay, if we are going to do that, how many collections are we going to drop this year? And then how much creative capacity do we actually have to support those collections? Because we're hand writing content for every single collection. Yeah. And so at some point you were looking at revenue projections and starting to try to say, okay, I actually have to make trade-offs because I don't have the capacity to support all the things that we want to do. And so the lower revenue driving ones, which again is just a forecast, right? The market might tell you differently when you launch it and you're like, oh shoot, we underinvested in something based on the forecast, but now it's the number one driver. Let's divert all the resources back to writing content for that. And so I think that's been another major change that we've seen of just we can kind of audit our site in a lot easier way. We can understand more about what the questions our customers are asking, and then we have the ability to automate the delivery of that content, right? And so that would be the bigger shifts that I can think of in the last couple of years.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, a lot of people think that AI search is like a content problem, right? And so we need 10,000 blogs, or we need more content, right? But a lot of it is also like a product data problem, right? So maybe to your earlier point, like if you have SKUs that, you didn't forecast it to be big, you probably also didn't, put all your focus or effort on like your writing the right content data and getting the right structured data. Like there's, we see this with all our clients. Some products get all the love and some products get less love, I would say. So how do you think about that? Like how are you like sort of enriching your product data today? And how do you choose what to focus on?
Yeah, I think, again, we used to focus a lot more on getting the attributes around a collection or a line or sometimes a lifestyle or a season, right?
Yep.
And now it's, what is the length of the necklace? How much gold does the necklace have in it? How much does it weigh? Durability, like those are other product attributes that we are having to be more disciplined about either introducing or making sure that we consistently deliver that across all of our lines, because similar to trying to find multiple mattresses across multiple product lines, you're trying to find a necklace across multiple collections, multiple product lines, and multiple price points.
Yeah.
And so I think that we've had to be more disciplined about the number of attributes that we carry for a given product, but also the rigor of making sure that they're updated. And the beauty of Optiversal is that you've been able to come back and help us understand, this is the pattern we see. What happens 70% of the time is this attribute is on these types of products, but you didn't do it on the other 30. Would you like us to fill those in for you? Right. It's like those are huge enablers where just having the ability to see at scale where you have deficiencies in your product attributes, and then having the opportunity to either update them or enrich them has been, I think, hugely powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will echo all of that. The audit to our Merchant Center feed, which is our entire product catalog, was illuminating, to say the least. We had a lot of inconsistencies and just a lot of missing data, like opportunities to speak to the weight of a mattress, the thickness, like it was very like, this is a hybrid queen brand, like very cut and dry. And sometimes even that was like inconsistently represented in the feed. So that audit, it stung a little, but we fixed it, right, with the help of Optiversal. And the enrichments that we added, just the product description, such a more robust product description. Again, driven by how customers are speaking about it, tying in the actual specs and attributes that are objective from our feed, made a huge difference in our click through within both paid and organic product carousels, and then that, I mean, it really sparked a lot for our team with regard to like preparing for Universal Commerce Protocol and how we need to be buttoned up to the T for that deployment. You can't have a product catalog that is thin or missing those details, because the customers need to know everything. I like what you said about like, how much gold is in it? What's the length? Like, is it waterproof? They need to know now. It's much more demanding than just.
Is it cute?
Yeah. Is this going to match is it cool toned or warm toned? Like, I've had my color analysis done by you, chat. Like, is it going to match? But yeah, that, and then the product feed attributes definitely fed into the product enrichment within the landing pages, right? Because we know that those pages are being crawled to a lesser degree, because right now, like, it is much more research and informational within these LLMs. The percentage of like conversion driven prompts is still pretty low. My understanding is still under 15%, 10%, right? Which is still meaningful at the scale of how people are using these LLMs. Like, there will be conversion from them, and we've measured that. But the lift that we saw just filling in the blanks that we'd ignored for however long within our feed was so meaningful.
Yeah. I also think like on that topic, I think like a lot of retailers used to kind of miss out on the research phase, right? Or it was like way up in the top, but sort of that middle research phase of the shopping journey. There's now actually an opportunity to kind of capture it, which is very awesome. But you also have to kind of reset your mind as to how well that phase converged, right? And so, but it is like really cool to see like, hey, now you can also sort of tie into more the research phase of the product. Cool. Let me yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. So how do we, we want to kind of talk about the conversational experience on site, right? So we've talked a lot about like, hey, search, but search happens elsewhere, right? So what are some ways that you were thinking about like bringing in like more conversational experiences into the site? And how are you doing that?
Yeah, so a couple ways. We have what we call OmniFinder internally on our website now, and it is like it's a light agentic experience as far as selecting a mattress, and it's prettier faceted search in a lot of ways, but it is powered by Gemini, so there is a conversational piece there. Like, you can type in anything about your sleep disruptors like you would an LLM at the top of the Mattress Firm homepage. And then it will recommend mattresses after you first confirm that you do want to buy a mattress. Like, what size? What are some of your sleep disruptors? Et cetera. So that has been live on the site for about a year. From a technical standpoint, it has caused us some headaches. But I think the users are appreciating it when they do come to the site, right? Because it is it's not checking the boxes of faceted search that you sometimes do within a product category on a page. So we will iterate on it for sure in the future, and probably turn it into that more NPC experience that's able to like crawl the entire data layer of the site, and also integrate with Universal Commerce Protocol within Google Chat, etc. So crawl, walk, run with that, right? But on the other side, we're just piloting the new Optiversal program with the chat within the pages, which I love. It's so non-obtrusive, right? It's not a survey. It's not trying to upsell you, right? It just wants to help, and it is a more conversational, faceted search within that page experience. So you're just going to segment down even further depending on what you're looking for within that already pretty specific category. It's not launched yet, so I don't have any data about its success, but I'm very excited about it. I know it's going to help conversion.
Yeah, Brad has them live. So
Oh, really?
We are capturing data
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah,
Tell me
Brad,
about
Brad
it.
was first one out the gate with that one.
Really? Tell us.
Will
about
do.
it.
Yeah. I was going to go a different but related direction.
Oh, okay.
I was going to echo that product enrichment is just the gift that keeps giving, right? And so the audit that we found for Google Merchant Center made us realize that we had some opportunity to improve attributes. And then we started to think, okay, great, that solved a problem for Google. What if we solved that same problem with Meta?
Yep.
And now we're saying, okay, now that we have that data and it's part of our data feed, what if we feed that to our on-site agent? So that as customers are asking questions, we know more about the attributes they care about from the audit findings. And so we have a project underway to add basically that product feed enhancements to that. And then similarly, we thought about our on-site search. So as customers begin to use our on-site search tool, let's enrich it because it has the contextually or seasonally aware terms that customers are likely to search for there. And so those would be two ways we've kind of triple dipped on the product enrichment feed. Yeah, and then similar, we're excited about the ability, to have some of the coming capabilities that I think is going to be part of next week's launch announcement of PDP. I would call them content blocks that can be updated dynamically based upon season or attribute changes. And so I think that's it. It's these building blocks that are going to keep coming off of having richer, better product attributes and product data feeds.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're happy to have both of you on the program so early. And I think we'll see the leading indicators are quite good. So we're excited about that. Let's see. We got 5 minutes left. All right, we're gonna skip to the end. Talk about what comes
and then
next.
12 days of editing.
And 12 days of editing. Yeah. Oh, that's not my job, so it'll be okay. So let's talk a little bit. AI search is still pretty early. I think we're gonna look back on these days as sort of the Yahoo and the Alta Vista days of search. So I'm always curious to learn from our customers. Like, where do you think is gonna go? How do you think it's gonna end up? What do you think the buying experience for a mattress looks like in 3 years?
Yeah, my true forecast is pretty dystopian. I don't really think we're gonna have customer facing websites that are converting. I think it's gonna be a feed. Okay. There might be a brand experience on mattressfirm.com where people can learn about us and do research, whatever. There will always be people who want to go to a website, but I think that the majority of the conversions and research will occur within a person's chosen LLM. I think once Universal Commerce Protocol is fully integrated and deployed, and people are just checking out within ChatGPT and never leaving their best friend, right? Their consultant. It's gonna be crawling an enriched feed that's marked up appropriately. Maybe the LLMs.txt file will become relevant eventually. We've tried it. They don't even crawl it. but that's my prediction. It's going to be a bare bones feed that powers an LLM shopping experience and research experience.
All right. That's dystopian-ish. What about you, Brad? Three years from now, how are people buying jewelry?
I think we're going to continue to see people that want choices.
Mhm.
I think there'll be people that want to have that experience maybe at certain phases of their life, or at least my kids' generation, right? We're already starting to see an AI backlash, right? Where they feel like it's taking their jobs and they're going to go back to analog and using notebooks. And so I think we'll always have this mixed world. And I'm not sure this is the right analogy, but like in the grocery business, we used to talk a lot about what is the moment that the customer's shopping. When you're getting your coffee and your bagel in the morning, like that's never going to be something that you would buy online.
Yeah.
But your dry goods that you purchase week in and week out, you're going to have 100% comfort. But when you're picking out meat and cheese for a party, like you want to have a hands-on experience. I think we're going to see something like that where different customer segments are going to gravitate more towards it. But I think there'll also be life moments where, holy crap, it's a birthday this week and I forgot to get a gift. Hey, ChatGPT, find a gift for the kid's party. He's 13 and his favorite color is blue,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like online, pick it up, and then you just get a message that you. So I think it could be a mix of how we operate as humans and want different things at different times, different ways.
Less stuff in the middle, less generic
Yeah.
experience. Right. Yeah. The price of iPods is like old iPods,
Right.
It's rising at a very
Wild.
rapid rate.
Well, and the wired earbuds, right?
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
last 3 or
yeah.
4 years, like that's come back in fashion.
The kids want iPods and they want wired earbuds.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I'm wrong.
If only they knew,
Yeah.
although the iPod has great battery life, most of mine still work. All right. Still, then sort of as a last question, like what if there's one thing you would say to like peers in the industry, like what is, how would you like, you're having coffee with a peer in the industry or a cocktail or whatever, like, and they're like, well, shit, this world is changing. What should I do now other than buy Optiversal? Like,
Right.
what is like, what's the one thing that you recommend? Maybe it's more organizationally or like from a tech perspective. Like,
I think organizationally for me, and I learned it in this session, like I think going back to the team and getting support that we have to organize ourselves differently to solve this problem than we did in the past. And so you called it a tiger team earlier. That I'm taking inspiration from that right now, that I think it's something, because I don't think it's owned collectively the way we need it to work today. It's still perceived as either an afterthought or a web specific activity. And it's much larger organizationally, because this is how brands will be discovered going forward. You can't pay your way out of this problem. Like you can't buy paid ads enough to solve the problem, because at some point you're getting diminishing returns because nobody understands anything about your brand. You're just getting warm bodies to your site. And so I think that's the thing I took away, and something that I would share is like you really have to look organizationally about how you bring the right people in and they're accountable in the right way to helping you solve this new challenge.
yeah. What about you, Numa?
I'm going to dive right back into the weeds on this. I would give someone really tactical advice if they were like, man, we need more citations. Like I'm dying over here. I would say FAQs, lean in. I have been for many years. It paid off. The pages that we've optimized with really thoughtful, good quality FAQs that people are actually asking outperform other content every time. So that would be my advice.
And not hidden behind JavaScript.
Correct, right?
Yes.
And mark them up, right? Like that still counts. Like
Yeah.
traditional search is not dead, so you still have to mark them up with good schema. And
Yeah, I think like the sort of the thing that the right companies get right is that you can use certain types of content over and over and over again, and like really have it permeate the like sort of all facets of the experience, right? Where I think like maybe organizationally we're too set up to who's handling FAQs and where does that go? Right there, but like it can go there, but it can also go here and here and here and here.
Yeah,
And if you
an
actually
influencer can talk about it, and it can be
Exactly.
in your
Yeah.
email, and
and if you use it like in a very widespread way, like the chances of of success really go up. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks
I
for
really
including us.
appreciate it. Thank you for being customers.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that too.
Thanks for having us.